Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to make these barn style or colonial style doors. I'm using a pine. I'm not using tongue and groove. If you're going to do an interior application or if you're going to do something that needs to be completely weather tight, I recommend using a tongue and groove or tongue and groove it yourself, or you can even use a shiplap, which is just a couple of rabbit edges that would joint together. In this case, it's a storage shed workshop. I'm not going to do air conditioning, so I'm just using 1x8 pine. And then I'm using 1x6 strapping. All right, I'm going to show you, I'm making two for 2 barn doors. I'll show you how to do that right now. Okay, so the very first step in making your door is measuring your opening. The first opening you want to measure is the floor to height. All right, and so what I did is I measured, this was exactly 84 inches, 7 feet. And then you want to take off 1/4 of an inch, right, so you have enough clearance. You want to make sure you have at least enough clearance on the bottom, because if anything swells, it'll stick. So 1/4 of an inch minus your opening, and then you're just going to cut all of your boards to length. Don't worry about the width yet, cut them to length. Once you get the width, once you get the length, you can start to lay out your width by marking your center and then just making 2 equal halves. Now I'm just going to give you an example on mine. 4 boards together was almost perfect. I was about 1/4 of an inch off. So what I did was I just took 1/4 of an inch off of 1 board only. So 1/2 is actually going to be 1/4 of an inch short. All right, a little bit small. If it's more than that, if I was, let's say, 2 inches too wide when I put all my boards together, I would just take 1 inch off of 2 boards. I would take 1 inch off of this board, and then I would take 1 inch off of the other door, and then you'd end up with 3 large boards, and then 1 that's 1 inch short. All right, on both sides, so you'd be the same. So again, you only have to trim 1 board to make it fit. Once you do that, now you know your width. In this case, this is 29 inches. I'm going to cut my 2 cross pieces, 29 inches. All right, 29, and then this one is also 29. Now the key to this is a little bit tricky. I'm going to slow down and explain this to you because I want to make sure you get this right. You want to make sure that your boards don't start sliding and slipping on you when you're screwing them in. So I usually do one side first, and then I come up and do the other. Right? 2 things where I see people make mistakes. One is when they're screwing the cross pieces on, sometimes one of the boards will separate. So you'll actually end up with a little bit of a space in here. And of course what that does is it makes it a little bit too wide at the top, too narrow at the bottom. So make sure that when you're screwing it in, the boards are put together. You could use a clamp and just clamp them closed, and then it makes it easy to screw. I'm not doing that today because I don't really need to, but if it makes it easier for you, go ahead and clamp it. Now, the other thing I want to make sure, once you get it dry fit and you know that it's the right size and everything fits right, take some glue, put it on the back. You don't want to put too much on where it starts to get mushy and starts squirting out the sides and all over your finished surface. But you want to make sure you have some glue on there because the nails do have the screws do have a tendency to allow the board to rack. The glue will prevent that. The other problem that I see people have when they do this is they don't always get this square. You want to make sure that your edges are flush on both sides and that you're not crooked. Right? And then I put 2 pilot holes on each end. Pilot holes are really important because if you don't put a pilot hole at the very end, you're going to split this board. And then the pattern you're going to use is a diagonal cross, making sure that you get 2 screws in every board. So if I'm going to have 2 screws here, all right, I'm going to put some pressure on here. My next screw would be down here. And you always want to sink the screw into the wood. All right? I've seen people try to screw it so that it's flush. Just get it into the wood. This is an 1.25" screw. Perfect for 2 3/4 inch boards together, 1.25". All right, now I'm going to double check it. I've got this board is set. The other ones I can still adjust if I need to. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the next board. I'm going to add a screw on an angle. You just want to make sure that you get 2 screws in every board. All right. I'll finish this up, and then we'll do the cross piece. Now the diagonal piece is a little bit tricky. It's not bad. What you're going to do is just go from corner to corner. So you want to make sure that you're flush with the outside edge. Why don't you come over here at that camera, let me show them right here. See, you want to make sure that this edge is flush here, right there, okay? And then I'm going to make sure it's flush on this one before I mark it. You have to make sure you're flush on both corners. Alright, now I can take my pencil. Alright, let's show them real close up here. Take my pencil and I can mark it right on the edge of that. You see that over here? See that mark? Right on the edge. And then over here, why don't you come over here now? I'm going to go ahead and mark right on the edge like that. Alright? Now, I'll come up here and I'll do the same thing. With a straight edge, after I make these marks, I'm just going to flip it over. And I'll take a straight edge. See, my mark is here. My mark is here. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark that. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side and cut it. Okay? Alright, there you go. Nice tight fit. Okay. Go ahead and screw them in now. When you screw these in, you want to use the same sort of diagonal pattern. I'm going to go ahead and put one up at the top here to hold it in place. Alright? You just want to make sure that you always get 2 in every board. Alright? As long as you get 2 in every board, you're fine. So there's one, see this board here? There's one screw. And the next screw is down here. So I've got both ends of it so it won't rack. Alright, I've got this side of it and this side of it. I'm just going to keep going all the way down to the very end until I'm done.